All right, Governor Ron DeSantis reportedly preparing to throw his hat in the ring for 2024. Maybe this week, maybe next week.
This as the NAACP issues a travel warning in Florida, claiming the state has become, quote, hostile to black Americans under DeSantis' leadership. So could this impact a potential run?
Well, let's talk to somebody from Florida. Here with your reaction is House Oversight Committee Representative Byron Donalds from the great state of Florida. Congressman, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Let us read just a little bit of this travel advisory from the NAACP. They say, under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, the state of Florida has become hostile to black Americans and in direct conflict with the democratic ideals that our union was founded upon. The NAACP hereby issues a travel advisory to African Americans and other people of color regarding the hostility towards African Americans in Florida. Why are they doing that?
I have no idea. When I read this is just really stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Look, I've lived in Florida since 1996 after I graduated high school. I went to college, got married, started a career, lived normal life. Went to church, raised kids, coached sports. Yesterday when the Miami Heat, and congratulations to the Heat going up 3-0 on the Boston Celtics, by the way. But when the Miami Heat, were beating down the Celtics last night in Miami, TNT was showing footage of different boats in the water. Mm-hmm. And on a bunch of these different boats are black people having a good time out on the water. I don't even know what the NAACP is talking about. This is silly and it's dumb. It's political. It makes no sense. We should be focused on making sure people actually have the opportunity to achieve, which Florida is actually doing and thriving in way better than other states, let's say New York or California or Washington State. We're doing a significantly better job helping black Americans succeed. And it's not just about me, it's about all the millions of black people that live in our state.
Mm-hmm. They're talking about they say regarding the hostility toward African Americans in Florida. Do you feel hostility?
No. Again, this is so dumb. I don't even know what we're talking about, man. The only hostility I feel is this inflation hitting my pocketbook. I'll tell you that, because that inflation hitting everybody, that is hostile. When the price of food is up, when the price of gas, which is still up, and the fact that fentanyl is coming into every community in our country because of Joe Biden, maybe the NAACP should be focused on that, because I know that's hostile.
I'll tell you what, I thought you went into a little bit of a hostile but fair environment on Meet the Press this weekend. You did great. But I've seen you on all different types of channels. I do want you to take a look. This is a little of the exchange between you and Chuck Todd over the debt ceiling, his view and your reality.
But there's one more thing House Republicans are asking for, which is they want fewer IRS agents. I have never understood the resistance of extra IRS agents unless you knowingly cheat on your taxes.
First of all, that's salacious. The Republican Party is concerned about is having IRS agents go after middle-class families and small business owners. When you have that many more agents,
so if you're paying what you're supposed to pay, then you should have nothing to fear.
You would make the assumption that IRS audits are up, that they're putting out more liens on the American people. That's not true. That data is not there. All Joe Biden's trying to do is find every possible nickel out of every couch from every American to pay for his radical spending.
And he was just astounded that he says that if you pay your taxes, there's no problem. Does he ever deal with the IRS on a regular basis?
Well, I don't know. Maybe the IRS is auditing Chuck, and maybe he is, maybe he's not. I don't know. That's his personal business. Definitely not mine. I don't want to be involved. Look, at the end of the day, when it comes to the debt ceiling, Joe Biden doesn't want to cut any spending. He wants to continue his radical, out-of-control spending. It will be $54 trillion in debt if Joe Biden has his way. $54 trillion in a decade. We're trying to stop that, get back to pre-COVID spending levels. It's common sense stuff. That's where I think most Americans actually want to be. Right. And the last piece I'll say on debt ceiling, it is ridiculous that Joe Biden still doesn't have a plan or a strategy, and he's known about this for months. It's outrageous.
And he's finally back from Japan, and he's going to sit down with the speaker later today. Congressman, before you go, I want to ask you a little bit about the state of the race. It sounds as if Ron DeSantis, the governor of your state, could file the paperwork on Thursday, it has been reported, and then later today in North Charleston, Tim Scott's in. How do you look at by the end of the week, there could be 8 Republicans now running for the nomination. How do you look at the state of the race?
Well, look, a crowded race, a crowded field favors Donald Trump. Let's just be very honest. In some respects, it's reminiscent of 2016 when he has a block of voters that stay with him and everybody else is starting to take chunks of voters, and then he runs away with the nomination. It's going to be a very difficult race for the other 6 or 7 or 8 people trying to get the nomination, because one thing that's becoming very clear is Republican voters want to see Donald Trump back in the White House. He did the job once. They want to see him do it again.
I don't know if you read the Axios article this morning, but it talks about the rise of black Republicans, the growing number of black Republican candidates. They talk about you and Tim Scott. They talk about Daniel Cameron, who is Kentucky's AG, who just won the Republican primary for governor, and Larry Elder. It says Republicans have made small but notable inroads with black men during the Trump era. Republicans elected 5 black members of Congress, all from states and districts with majority white constituencies. What do you think the future looks like when it comes to African Americans voting more for the Republicans?
Oh, I think that's going to continue, especially with black men. And one of the reasons why is because of black men in America. Number one, they're trying to provide for their family. Number two, they're trying to actually build wealth, something that has not occurred really in a black community in the history of our country. And you cannot build wealth if you have a system of government that overtaxes you and overregulates you. It just doesn't work. And so, to say it this way, when Donald Trump was president, man, my pockets were looking really good. And now that Joe Biden is president, everybody's pocket is looking lean. And black men aren't really for that. We want to have a thriving economy like everybody else.
Congressman, that is very interesting because you also would say that there's only one party stopping school choice and charter schools. And that would help the minority community. It's hard to mix the two. Finally, Senator Bill Cassidy said over the weekend, like Governor Sununu, yeah, I like Donald Trump, but he can't win the general election. You believe differently. He's your guy. Why do you believe he can?
Well, first of all, to Bill and to Sununu, man, y'all need to stop. Go sit down. I never heard any Democrat say that a certain Democrat can't win. They would never do that. I mean, come on, guys. Get in the game and realize what we're doing. But number two, more importantly, a lot of Americans who are not your typical household Republicans, they remember the country and how it was functioning under Donald Trump. They've had an opportunity to see 2 presidents now, and they realize that he is significantly better than the other. And then when you look at foreign policy, in my view, there is only one person that can get the country in a better place going forward, and that is Donald Trump, because he's been on the world stage. Other world leaders have dealt with him, and they know what time it is when he's in charge of the United States of America.
Congressman Byron Donalds, thanks so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.